going to take you step by step through setting up the projection option for the sewing side of the Pfaff Creative Icon 2. Hi, I'm Sarah from sewingmastery.com, and we have a ton of videos that you can watch for free on learning how to master the machine. Now in this particular one, we're going to go a little bit further and really give you an understanding of how this works and how you can get it set up for dark fabric or even light fabric. So start by touching the projection camera to go ahead and turn it on. You will hear a little bit of a whirling sound with this when it's on, but I think you're going to find that this really makes sense to have on when you're sewing. And I'm going to pull up some decorative stitches here and let you see what we have as options. Stitch guides, where you can totally customize this and these lines, a grid, the color, the how to guide it. Wow, this is going to make your sewing straight or following curves or following lines that already exist to be a breeze. So right now, if you're not totally seeing the line, you can kind of see it has a little bit of a mark that is in the center of the foot. We are able to adjust that. So if your fabric, you are not seeing it, you can definitely get it to appear to your liking. So let's come over here where we can start by, if your projection options is not on, you will find that the orange area says off, and you're going to want to go ahead and toggle to the on option. You also will find that up at the top here, there is an LED. So as I move this here, watch on the fabric and see what happens. Right now, you are seeing that the brightness of the machine has kind of overpowered the line that is shining down on the black fabric. So as I slide it down and it kind of darkens the sewing area, now you can see the line on that fabric. So adjust that to your liking. And I will tell you, if you take some time to play with all these, you're going to find the ones that work for you. You also have brightness to the projection line, so you can have less or more. I'd probably say start with more for right now. Background color. You can actually, let's actually touch the color wheel. When you change the color or want to change the color, you need to touch the color wheel. Notice a new screen comes up with an OK. So if you want to touch something else, you need to OK it so you can get that to disappear to touch. So you will find that if you just touch one of these colors, you don't get anything. You have to touch the little color wheel, and now we can change the background color. Now, what am I talking about? I'm going to go from black, which is what is shown right here, to a quick color. These are quick colors. You will touch it. It will show your color, then touch OK. Now you see what I'm talking about for the camera. So it's going to shine down a white background onto your fabric, which also could give you a little bit more visual for following that line. Again, try it based on your fabric. The print of the fabric could give you this being a better option. If your fabric has a glossy or shiny side, this may or may not be what you want, so you can always go in and change it. Touch the color wheel again. Let's just see what blue looks like. And as we touch blue, we see the blue background. Are you kind of getting an idea? Now, if you want to customize this dot, you can slide the rings to be in any color that works for you. So you have lights to darks, and then you have every color of the rainbow. So as you land over here, you can find a color that might work. So how about if we did a little bit more of a pinkish shade and touched OK? Now you see a pinkish shade on the fabric. A quick way to go back to probably one of those quick color changes. Let's go ahead here, and I'll go ahead and leave it white. You see the center white dot showing, touch OK, and we can see that very well on the fabric. Okay, Next, stitch preview. So again, if this is off and it's grayed out, touch on. What we're going to do is I'm going to actually pick a different decorative stitch just so we can kind of see what we're talking about. I'm going to go into our scallop stitches, and now you're going to see the stitch projected onto the fabric. Right now you still have just that center line, which you're not seeing the stitch. Then that's because the color of this stitch preview is in white on top of our white background. So go ahead and change that. How about really quick, let's just turn it to red and touch OK. Now you're actually going to see the stitch and where it's going to appear. Now I mentioned that editing the stitch, so for example, if we made the stitch length longer, do you see how that stitch is getting longer on your fabric? Oh my gosh, this is a game changer for me because I do use a lot of time the adjustment of the stitches to fit a certain area. So if I can see it before I sew it, hallelujah. I don't even need to get out and measure anything. Now I can just go ahead and see, oh my gosh, it's going to stitch there, and it's going to be a game changer and speed up a lot of things. So again, you can come in, you can change that color. You know me in a little lime green, so why don't we go ahead and see. On the black, it's not as visible, so finding a color that would be right for you would be a good idea. Let's just see what it looks like in black. That's actually a good contrast with the camera on the black fabric. Okay, so we'll just leave that there. You can also reset that preview as needed. If your screen is not all the way showing, maybe you only have like this much showing, touch and drag this lower corner, and I want you to get the rest of your projection setup screen. You will notice that any arrows off to the side, okay, one is a grid. We can turn it on, and you can see what you have as a grid. You can adjust this grid size. So if you wanted it to be more spread apart, or if I took this all the way up to 25 millimeters, by the way, that's about an inch. So if you wanted to stitch a nice quilting grid, you definitely can just run the grid right beside the lines that you have drawn and follow suit. You'll really see a beautiful result without having to mark your fabric. Again, color of the grid can be adjusted. Maybe you change that to a blue color, and you can see exactly what and where you are stitching. Okay, remember there was more down here. We can also adjust the position of this grid, so we can actually shift it to the side. So if you want to have it follow the edge of your presser foot, you can also do that. You can kind of see, you can line it up. You can also angle your grid, so it can actually be done like so. If you're working on any triangles or angles of such, you can reset that grid, but you can customize it for the direction you want it to go. Stitch Guide 1, that's the one we have on, and that's showing in red, but look at what we have. We can make it wider so it's bolder. See that red line getting much bigger there? We can also set it for a horizontal position, so we can actually move it to the side. Now if you're working with a 1/4 inch foot, you could set this to be perfect for sewing those half square triangles, you know, where you start with a square and then mark the line down the middle and sew a 1/4 inch off of each side. No more line marking. You can set that up for anything that you want. You can also angle that to the side and continue to adjust it as you may need it. See it kind of going up the side of the camera area. I'm going to reset that, but I do like the wider width, so that is a little easier to see as we continue to show. You can really get it nice and thick. Of course, if you need it to be very fine and precise, leave it at the original default setting. Now, Stitch Guide 2, oh my gosh, it's like it keeps on going. It's the gift that keeps on giving here today. All right, Guide 2 is on. Let's turn it on. Now we're actually going to see, let's go ahead and give it a color, and let's do some lime green and touch OK. What you're going to see, you see that lime green diagonal angle, because it is set for 45 degrees as a option here, but we can change it, and I can also make it a little bolder so you can see it. again, if you're doing anything corner to corner and stitching that line, can make sure that you get started correctly and not kind of get cattywampus when you are stitching. So definitely some options here. Now, if you do want to turn the camera off, reach up right here and turn it off, and it turns it off on screen. But you can always kind of come in, turn it on, and look, everything's right where you left it and with everything to your liking there. So definitely get in there, try it on different fabrics. Next time you need to line up something, give it a try. See if this will be a game changer for you as it was for me. Now, I mentioned about sewing around some of those curves that we do in the Pfaff Stitching Cosmos online course. If you have this machine and you are in that course right now or looking to start that course, those lines, those grids, and the projection of the stitches is going to really help you make the right choice before you sew all those decorative stitches out on the blocks that we are creating. We go through a ton of decorative stitches, all the Pfaff presser feet, or I should say most of them, and then really teach you inside and out how to use this machine from A to Z. Click on those links below to check out some of the videos that you can preview to see if this course is right for you.